this one's not going to run long because I don't really have anything to do today, and I've kind of given myself the Sabbath kind of approach today. It's Saturday. It's actually beautiful outside. I don't know. Let's see. Actually, yeah, here you can see it. It's sunny and beautiful. I woke up and it was gray, snowy, and it's cold. It's like 20 degrees outside. Last I looked, it was brutal when I got out of the tent. My tent's fine though. The tent, it stays around 40, 45, and my clothes are comfortable down to about 40, maybe 35. Um, I wrap myself up. I sleep in my jacket and then I wrap myself up in the tent, and it's a mummy. So I've actually not pulled it zipped as closed as I could. So I'm actually very comfortable. Um, I'm actually a little sweaty. I got new socks last night and my feet have already got them wet, so that's a bummer. But whatever, it's whatever. Today I'm just grateful for the frankly the mercy that God and His ex-wife, the goddess, have shown me in the last week, because it was forecasted a week ago to be 5 or 6 degrees colder than this. So it could have been worse, and it could have been a lot snowier. It could have been big billowy flakes like at the Cleveland Pittsburgh game. It could have been a lot. It could have been a lot worse. Um, and somebody could have punched another hole in my stuff yesterday, or yesterday was Black Friday, so yesterday, or and they could do it today. So we're going to continue to pray that they don't do that. Praise God that no one has. But I also praise God that the cops have left me alone for the most part. And praise God for Panera, and thank God that Starbucks was open on Thanksgiving, because literally nothing else was in this town. I might have been able to duck into Kroger and seen if their Starbucks has an outlet, even if it has a sit down area. I don't even know that it has a deli uh, uh, in that Starbucks. So, or in that Kroger. Kroger's a grocery store for those of you who don't know, and kind of a bougie one anymore. It's so nice out there. I just want to get out and walk in it. Honestly, it's just too cold, and frankly, I don't have the money. Um, I don't have the money to feel like I justify A, the risk to my person, B, the risk to the people around me, because I don't have insurance and theirs isn't going to cover vehicular homicide. It's called vehicular manslaughter unless you do it on purpose. Uh, and then I don't have a destination. I'm not walking all the way downtown, and I already missed lunch anyway. No, I didn't. No, well, by the time I get down there, I would have. So I'm just chilling today. I'm just hanging out, talking to people on Twitter. Oh no, I'm live on YouTube, and that feels good. That thank you. Just even if you're not subscribed, thank you for being here, and thank you for checking this out. And for all the 52 people who subscribed, and the handful of people who were excited for me, thank you very much. Because now what I can do is I can meaningfully start to save up for a battery, an external battery. Maybe even I just spend the outrageous $45 on I think it's not even a 10K, whatever that MAU, whatever that stands for. I don't even think it's enough to give me like 15% battery from dead, but it's also solar. So I don't know. Maybe that would justify sitting at the tent and talking to you or reading to you. And now I can go back to reading live, which makes sense. So I can, when the library opens back up, I can go live to the library, or I can invite you uh, to sit and eat lunch with me. I can just turn it on live. I would probably turn my microphone off so that the people around me don't need to be on mic or on camera, and if I get any conversations or whatever, but you can get a vibe. You can just feel the vibe with me of Christ's table. I kind of dig it there, but I don't know whether I wrote this in my journals or whether I've talked about it or not. But my favorite place as a kid was always the cafeteria, but it wasn't because of the other people. It wasn't because of my peers. It became that way in eighth grade. Eighth grade was a great peer year for me. I got into a peer group where I had 6 or 8 people who cared whether I showed up for lunch or not. I liked lunch before then, and then through high school, because of the lunch ladies. Those ladies work really hard, and they care more than you realize. If you think they don't care, you're looking for that. They care. They work hard to make that stuff. It hurts their feelings when you only eat the pizza, um, or if you never say thank you. And so I just always say thank you. Always have. Always loved those ladies. Always made an extra point to say hey with them. And as I got into high school, to flirt with them a little bit, you know. That's what I do now. The only difference is now the age range is very widely. Uh, Sometimes, some days the ladies are older than me, like you would expect, and then on like Thursdays they're college girls. Sometimes I'm not even sure they're 16 yet when they're serving us. So I have to take my approach a little different when the college girls are there, because I'm too old to be shamelessly flirting with a college girl. But a woman who's older than me, she hasn't been flirted with a guy who looks like he's 25 since she was 35, which might be half her life ago. So it's just a way to share the love in a way, not the eros, not the lust or the yes I would, more the you still got it feeling, the what's that called? Self-esteem. The self-esteem of it all. And so I'd just like to thank Panera again for this. And I'd like to thank Taco Bell in the future, because there are going to be nights where I don't want to go to the tent until as late as possible. And if Taco Bell remains open in the lobby until 1 a.m., that might be my best bet. But if I can make, like, I don't know, I'd like to make enough. I'd like to justify having made enough to buy a new vape, and then to get a rechargeable hand warmer or two. Um, I like to be prepared. I was a Cub Scout as a kid, and so that mantra, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared, they beat that into us, and it's how I live my life. I live my life by a be prepared ethos, and so the word, Jesus' word, and I'm not a Christian, so I struggle with the Christian wisdom tradition, because it's wise, and it's my culture in a way. We have to kind of side-eye that, because Jesus wasn't and didn't think of himself as Indo-European or Roman, but he was also arguing that Rome was a sort of necessary evil. So he and I, we jive, but we don't jive in certain things. And one of the ways that we don't jive is he called on the disciples. Now, take this however you like, but he called on the disciples to go out into the wilderness with just the clothes on their backs, not even a knapsack, no purse of money, and just a stick. Not even, the books disagree, but sometimes they say no sandals. Sometimes they say, fine, you can carry a pair of sandals, but no extra pair of sandals. And so the be prepared ethos is one of having one extra, and then being prepared with things you may not need, but if you need them, could save your life. And so I'm talking about rechargeable USB hand warmers. I may not need them, but they may save my life. Who knows? They might also just make sitting in my tent and talking to you live in the mornings until my battery dies make sense. Which that's something that I can plan on doing. I can plan on doing like a good morning, how you doing morning show type thing after or maybe even before as I'm on my way to Madge's uh, morning stream. I can be like the and now and then I can meet you over at his Twitch and we can just kind of have like a rolling series of good mornings as my day gets started and it seems to me that many of you are diurnal type people, so as your day goes along I can be a part of it. And maybe we can get into like a mutual encouragement situation where I can help offer you lessons from mythology and legend and religion from around the world. It doesn't always have to be Christian. I just get into I'm in a place where I like scripture, and the forgiveness thing was just something I clicked into for something to argue with because I like to look for things to argue with to keep myself sharp, and that kept me sharp for a couple of weeks, really. I think I've made some real human connections through arguing about what it means to choose to forgive or not. And they're right. You can absolutely choose to forgive. And so I think we came to an interesting place there because I think I got to learn about you rather than about forgiveness that you think there's a choice or you think that people want to take that choice away from you. And even Jesus is telling you, nah, you've got a choice. And even those priests, the proselytizers are trying to explain that choice stretches out into the future. It's not like Pascal's wager. And I think we got to an interesting place on that. And I know you haven't watched my long forms on it, but even in the short forms that led to the long forms, I'm proud of that. I think that's pretty cool. I think all of this is pretty cool. I think you guys are pretty cool. I don't like the people who tell me, we'll just get a job. Okay, but I would like to know what they think this is. Like, what do they think I'm doing all day? And I would like to know what they think I'm doing all day, actually. I'm very curious. I would like to know what hateful people believe justifies their hate. I am more curious about that than I am, and I've said this in that long form, but the best way to understand your world that you live in right now is to understand the counterculture, and to understand the counter argument or the alternative argument. And so I would love to know what the alternative argument to Jesus' take care of the poor is. Really, I understand that people think the bootstraps mentality that Jesus really only helps those who help themselves is real, but it's not. Jesus never said that. That was a classist trying to say that poor people deserve to be left to die. And I would love for somebody to remix this and explain to me what the counter argument for helping the poor is. What is the long form explanation for get a job? How does that work? How do you think it's going to work? It's going to take me 4 weeks to get my first paycheck in a meaningful way. How am I going to stay clean in that time? Tell me. I would love the answer because I don't know it. And so I would love to know what employer wants somebody who comes in stinking and continues to stink. What jobs do you think there are? Do you think it's 1970 and there are just factory jobs still? What do you think my experience is in? Like, how do you think employment works? For those people who tell me to get a job, I am very curious. Have you ever had a job? Have you ever been a hiring manager before? I'm very curious about these things because I don't think you know what you're saying. I really believe that you think that wearing the crucifix on your chest gives you the right to say hateful things. Why do I believe that? Because the only people who have tried in a meaningful way to hurt my feelings since I've become homeless are people who wear crucifixes. I'm really curious what my non crucifix wearing people who are concerned with leading a good life rather than being a good person think about all of this. I really am. I know that this is not a good way to do it. Spaces are the better way to do it because I can just give you the floor and then I can pick your brain. I'm a dialectic. Now, I'm a dialectic learner, but I'm also a dialectic thinker. And so what that means is that I am much more like Plato and Socrates than your actual philosophy teacher. For those of you who've taken a Philosophy 101 class, I'm much more like people like Freud and Jung and James than your psych teachers. For those of you who've taken Psych 101, I'm I'm the real deal, y'all. Like last night, as I fell asleep thinking about Eminem. Um, what's the line where he says, and I think it's from the Real Slim Shady. He says something to the effect of, "I'm not too afraid to get up on the mic and spit it, and I don't even what does he say? I don't sugarcoat it at all. Whatever." I lost it because I don't know the song, and I can't do it now. But I fell asleep with that as a mantra, kind of as my sort of prayer. I don't have to be false or sugarcoated at all, right? And I know, and that's what I keep explaining to you, that Philaletheia versus a philosopher has to be false, sugar-coated, effectively. Philosophy is political correctness, because see, philosophy before the atom was split, philosophy had to leave room for everybody to be right. Why? Because we didn't know the definitive answer. So the philosophers who were going around saying, okay, well, any one particular worldview or any one particular life approach uh, is wrong necessarily had to be wrong before 1950, or well, just say 1950, whatever, 1945, whatever it was. I don't actually care to know when the bombs were dropped, but the moment that atom was split, philosophy became a bunk worldview. I'm going to tell you that right now, um, having occupied it for the greater part of 20 years. Um, it's a bunk worldview and it can't work uh, because there are right and wrong answers. We know that electrons shape themselves according to the way we observe them shaping themselves, and our measuring the way they've shaped themselves actually changes the way they would have shaped themselves if we hadn't both observed and measured them. So that means that we know that electrons are intelligent. So that means we know that the universe intelligently shapes itself around us. And so we know there's a name for what that is. There are many names for what that is, but we know what that's called. That's called God, just outright. We know that. So electrons are in whatever way the mechanism by which God does whatever God does, right? But we also know that sounds an awful lot like the demiurge, not that sounds like the creator and the controller, right? And so that does sound like the dark simulation, if you want to think in terms of like Philip K. Dick and things like the looking through a scanner darkly, right? Or you want to think about like Augustine was very concerned. So was Descartes. Descartes was very concerned with the idea that the universe was aware of us and was infinitely more intelligent than us and able to manipulate us for the hell of it. Why? Because it does. It's observed doing that. And so you have to take that into account when you're describing it to other human beings, especially in Indo-European languages, because Indo-European languages don't have a structure within the language for veracity. And I'm thinking about there are North American Native American language systems that actually have grammar for how how much veracity what they're saying has and how they know it, whether they got it firsthand, secondhand, third hand, etc. whether they know what they're saying because they saw it or whether somebody told them. They have grammar structure for that. We don't. So you can't just read something and know whether it's true. And so philosophy and mysticism have gone hand in hand to hide these things that I'm telling you right now. That's why I say it's a bunk worldview, because before 1950, effectively, philosophy held out that everything was possible. Well, not everything is possible. Not every approach is right. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. This is the old Shaggy.
Commander of the Red Jeep Renegade, your door's open.
I'm feeling good about myself. I'm feeling good about being able to go live again. And so what I would like to do is I would like to go back to doing live readings so that my style makes sense. And if I pick up an audience, you can ask me questions live, and we can kind of go back and forth, and I can even if it's just one of you at a time, I can approach making sense on film. I guess one of you at a time, if necessary. And I'm good with that. I like that approach. If you were to ask me how I vision this working, I very much see this working, for those of you who are familiar, exactly like and superior to, highly superior to, Jordan Peterson's biblical studies. I would like to do that. I would like to just tour and talk on stage and figure out what the hell I know. And so that's what I've been doing. And the more I do it, the more, in fact, I know. The more I become certain of. I've been doing shorts on Twitter, so definitely check me out. Shaggy Phil Elitea. It's actually at S Phil Elitea on Twitter. Seek me out. If you find me on Patreon and you subscribe at more than $10, you have access to me in DMs, and we can chit chat there. I might even, if enough of you do that, I'll go back to opening up the group chat while doing group chat prompts on the Patreon. So, thanks for this. That's what this was about. I just wanted you to see my actual excitement. It finally went through. I can finally do this. I'm not going to sit here and do this today. Like as I said, I want to take, I'm going to write, but I'm going to take today and just kind of relax, not worry about trying to make money today and tomorrow. I need it, but I'm going to cover my Panera tonight. That should cover tonight, and then I should have about $15 and I have a coupon, so I should be able to eat a pick two tomorrow, unless I choose to spend that money on cigarettes, which is possible. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm unwilling to lie to you. And I'm entirely unwilling to quit nicotine while homeless. I'm not going to be the first person in the history of homelessness to quit nicotine. It's its own currency, and I share it with the other homeless and other hungry that I see around town, because it gives me a reputation for generosity, which is something I actually want, because once I have enough money that my wants and needs are comfortably met, I would like to start buying extra gloves and extra things and bring them down to Christ's table and make them available to the people who need them more than I do. And there are people, human beings that I know, that have families who are in more need than I am. And so if I can earn enough through my personality and donations, I can start to give to people who need it too. And then you can trust me to allocate your funds to places that you don't even know need it. And then we can really start to non-profit the fuck out of this. And then we can start to call this religion instead of cult. So thank you for being here. Thank you for 52 follows. Thank you for 24 minutes live, and you will most certainly hear from me in long form live again in the future. I also kind of want to see what this does to my battery, so thank you. I'm Shaggy. I am Phil Elitea, and this is going to happen.